Rightio, New Zealand show back for another week, and I've gone to the top. James Jennings, firstly, welcome, mate.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you very much, and welcome to you too. Good to have you back on the side of the Tasman.
It's
In the flesh.
Not in the flesh. You're happy with me over here than over there.
Yeah, cheers.
I first met you for the weanling sales, which was a little while ago, and a few COVID scares ago, and the likes. But I must say, firstly, thank you, and that's one of the reasons why I started doing this show, because I found the Kiwis, a lot of them actually watch what I do, and they find a lot of it interesting and going out there. So I really do enjoy it. I'm just a little bit worried with NZB. You seem to have a lot of single young men working for you. I'm not sure it's necessarily all that good a PR exercise.
Yeah, we've got a few. Yeah, we do have a few single young guys working for us, and it's also a generational thing. A lot of these young guys are actually, the sons of the guys that I started in the business with, and we've got sort of Harry from young Nick King, Bright Hill Stud. We've got Mitchell Davis, of course, son of Stephen. We've got Robert Logan, who's the son of Donna Logan, of course, training in Singapore. And then we go to the girls as well. We've got Emma Thompson, of course, the daughter of John Thompson, the British Hill Stud. So, we've got a lot of the young guys here, and we hope that we're engendering in them, good business sense, and that they are thoroughly enjoying working for us, and we hope that they will grow with the company in time. And it's a really good thing to see when you see that generational shift coming through, because it holds the industry in good stead when you actually see them, because that's what we need.
I think the other good part about it, I mean, I predominantly deal with Canberra, but the one thing that I really enjoy is they're all passionate young, like Mitch, winning that Group 1 race, and he only had a 1% share, but I said to him, mate, can we come on and after BD Joe winning at the Jewels, and I just said, can we do an interview? And he's absolutely, and not only did he do the interview about how good it was, but Stonewall Stud got a mention, bought through NZB, and that's how he got involved in it. So they don't only, I suppose, represent you, but they promote you in the right way as well, which is always key, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it certainly is, and I think Mitch in particular, so we actually had our morning cup of coffee this morning. We were going over the results from Albion Park, and of course he loves to hunt, as you do. That's what all young fellas do, because they haven't got any other worries. And he was quickly rattling off that he should have got Krug the week before, and he should have got Copy that, but he didn't. So especially when they were posted at 13s and 11s, and now they're raging hot favourites for the Rising Sun. He's not going to get anywhere near it. So but that's it. Yeah, good bunch of young kids. I've got to mention young Patrick Cunningham, of course, son of Gordon Cunningham, Campbells. So yeah, we've got some really good young guys coming through, and like you say, it's that enthusiasm. Like all of us, they live, eat and breathe, racing and the sport that we love. So, and that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely. And just while you're talking about Queensland, and Queensland was terrific. Watching Krug the week before, copy that, didn't go through your sale, but you've had siblings, relations of him going through. The dominance of these couple of Kiwi horses back to your sale, one that must be uplifting, I would imagine, from the COO of NZB to know that you're on the right track, you've got the right breed going behind you, but they also always still keep promoting your product as well.
Yeah, look, that's where we go hand in hand. As the sales company, we love the opportunity to see and promote our graduates. Krug, of course, was our first Group 1 winning graduate from when New Zealand Bloodstock took over the sales, so he's been a real pin-up for us. And of course, trained by Cran Dalgetty, who's a champion bloke, who's helped us with advice and everything else on the line. When we first came into the industry, and we contacted all the preeminent people that we knew in the industry to see what sort of direction and what can we do for you and how can we do it better. That's really encouraging, but most importantly, the results are for our breeders. We love the fact that we've sold the horses, which then generates us as a sales company that people want to come to, and that we are presenting the products to our buyers and the buying ventures. But most importantly, it's the results for our breeders to see that result in Australia. Australia is such an important market, and the more we see and the more Group 1 winners. You know, we strike that 50% mark for sales graduates and winning group races in Australia. You know, we couldn't be happier when you consider how much of the racing population we actually represent.
Absolutely. I have got an interview with Anthony Butt. I touched on both horses, both Krug and Copy That. It was a brilliant drive on Copy That the other night. I think he undersold it a little bit. We forget now Anthony's getting to a little bit of age under him, and some of the names he read, but he was saying that's how he used to learn to drive. He was one of those people that got shoved quite regularly, so he was quite happy to do the shoving.
I was going to say that was a pretty impressive push out on Copy That, I can tell you that.
It was as good as I've seen. And he goes into, it's actually a very good interview. He goes into really good in depth, but basically, and a lot of the Kiwi guys listening and watching will really enjoy it, because he talks about how he learnt it. He learnt it the hard way. As I said, he was the one getting shoved, and he rattles off some names that do it. And also, straight after you and I finished, Nigel Armstrong, I'm going to have to send him a Campbell's comments hat. He has the NZB Standardbred hat on, the good man. He does a great interview with Ricky May after driving 3,000 winners. And we've got some important stuff, you and I, James, but it's a pretty big feat. Anthony Butt told me that it's only the third Kiwi to break 3,000 wins as a driver. So, I mean, not just what's happened to him recently, it's a great feat that Ricky's been able to achieve, isn't it?
Oh, look, you know, when you consider that, you know, was it just like a year ago, you know, we nearly lost Ricky, you know, and, you know, how fortunate, you know, we and Ricky to have that opportunity to still be in the card and to go through the 3,000 wins barrier and join that elite company of drivers here in New Zealand. And you know, yeah, we're very fortunate, and I think Ricky's very fortunate to be here, as I said. And what a legend, mate! What a great result! You know, couldn't be happier for him.
Absolutely, it's a great interview. So that'll be up straight after you and I are finished, and then Anthony Butt. And I've got to say, as I said, a huge thank you to Nigel Armstrong, who's doing great things. He even made me.
Yeah, I'll just give Nigel 2 thumbs up there if you tell me he's wearing a cap.
Well, he's even made me an honorary witch. So along with Rachel Deegan and everyone else, I'm now part of the Spellbound group. Nigel, as he's reaching far and wide. I'm going to have to do a lot more than just send him over a Campbell's comments hat. I've got no doubt about that. So he's a great man for harness racing over there in New Zealand, that's for sure.
He is. We'll get you one of those witches sets as well, eh?
Yep. Well, I haven't got one. But then I won't have this one on. You'll be in trouble. Rightio. NZB 2022 sales entries are now open. So, as an Australian watching from afar, you're the only sales company that operates there in New Zealand. So I'd imagine, you know, it's pretty well straightforward. Just open it up, take the entries, catalogue them, and away you go. But knowing New Zealand bloodstock and how you guys do operate, I would imagine there is a lot more that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot more. So sales are open now. You know, we have the online vendor portal, so all our vendors and consignors enter the horses online. It's nice and easy for them. It goes straight to the database. If the horse is in the database, and it pulls all those details in. They don't have to add those details. It's self-populating. They put down who's going to be the consignor, who's the vendor, being the owner, who we pay the proceeds to, and the inspection address where we need to inspect the horses. So we'll go through to the end of the month and close on the 31st. Friday 31st, and then in August we'll sit down and go through the horses, and then in the second week of August we start doing the inspections, and we inspect every horse that has been entered for the sales, and from there we'll sit down. It'll take us a bit of part of a month to get through all those horses, both in South and Otago, Canterbury and North Island, and then in early September we'll sit down and go through all the horses and then send out the advices to the vendors and consignors. And then come October, we'll start doing the production pedigrees, production of the pedigrees, and then we're off to print at the end of October. Off to print. So, it's a long way to go yet.
But that's still best part of 4 months out from the out from the actual sale itself. But that's important, is to get the catalogues out there. When you said there before, we will go and inspect them, and you know, again, I've probably built a relationship in the last 12 months with you guys, and seeing that you put a few photos out, that you go, it's a team that goes out there. We were saying about the young guys before as well. I'm sure they must go out there with you just to cut their teeth and understand what you guys look for. How big is your team? But also, what do you look for with some of these yearlings? Like, if there is an issue, do you flag that straight away then, or do you just monitor it, or how do you guys go about that part?
Oh, there's several ways we go about it, and yes, we do take young guys out with us. But no, most inspections predominantly Cam and myself. And we take the young guys. We try where we can. Obviously, location can present that, but at least two of us try to get on the property and inspect the horses, so that we're looking at the horse in a very open way. It's also a good opportunity to, like I say, identify any issues that we think may stop the horses going forward. A lot of the time it's formative, and they just, we need to know that the people preparing the horse are aware, and if they are, and then we're more than happy to monitor the horses on the way through. Look, I'll be fair, there may be some horses that are going to have issues that will preclude them from going to the sales, and we need to identify that now. And it's simply because we want the people to bring the horses to the sale that have a good opportunity of placing them and selling them. And if the horse has an issue that's not going to make that window of opportunity the one for him, you tell them now, rather before they spend a lot of money on a sales prep and potentially get little or no return. Very fortunate, our Standardbred as a breed, a sound, robust, good boned types of horses, so we don't strike a lot of issues, but everyone's got the opportunity to put those horses forward, and we look at them and assess them. And once again, we look at them from I try and look at it from a buyer's eye, so that we know that if I'm happy to put my hand up for the horse, then so will someone else.
Yep.
And that's what we've got to do, and we need to be open and frank about that. Otherwise, we can't foster our relationships, and we're doing people a disservice, pushing horses forward that potentially, as I said, that window in February is not for them. Doesn't mean they're not going to be an athlete. It just means that it's not their time to go in the shop window.
And that's key, because I get back to being the only seller in New Zealand. Like I said, you could probably rest on your laurels a little bit and just go and do a farm inspection, say in October. You're still 4 months out. Anyone would say, well, that's fair enough. But the professionalism you guys try to, I suppose the professionalism you guys show is what you actually then expect from the people selling the horses, preparing the horses and the likes. You want that professionalism matched backwards. Yeah,
100%. That's really what it comes down to. We're in this as partnership. I think when I first started speaking to them, we're a commission agent, and and yes, we have a 10% commission, but we get paid that commission when the horse gets sold. So if the horse doesn't get sold, we don't have anything from the sale of the horse, so to speak. And so therefore it is partnership, and we do our job to the best of our abilities with our promotions. And specifically with the digital format now, there's a lot more being asked of our vendors and consignors to present those horses into the digital format, because so much of the evaluation, particularly in these COVID times, has been done digitally, and we need to make sure that the content that's being delivered online is commensurate with the product that our buyers are expecting to buy.
That was one of the things last year that I noticed, and was blown away, and I think it came back to Australia a little bit as well, that in the end our sales were open and we didn't have to have the online component of it. But what you guys were able to achieve as far as in your scans, your photos, the correction, really raised the bar, and I know it affected both sales companies over here. They actually raised the bar. They realised that what you guys are doing is how it's got to be, and I don't think just, I could say Nutrien and APG, but I think also a lot of the other sales companies worldwide, they watch these things and they say, yep, this is what we've got to do now, and all the rest. And you've just got to, I suppose, keep lifting that bar, don't you, of professionalism?
Yeah, you're constantly evaluating the processes, and you have to do that. And really, it's been talked about ad nauseam about this digital revolution, and a lot of those processes are what's coming as far from the digital content perspective. And we're constantly in development. We've got a vendor development under the way, which we hope to have in place for these year-end sales, which is actually going to make it far easier for our vendors to actually deliver content to the site. So that one of the things we've all noticed, and we're all at now with this digital revolution, is that there's no latency in response. If you log on to a website, you expect an immediate response. If you register, you expect an immediate response. So in the same way, when delivering content, you upload your content and you expect it to be there immediately. But of course, with videos and photos, when our currently it's based in house, and our marketing team do it. You know, and when they're processing over 1,000 photos and 300 videos, well, they just don't pop up. So yeah, we're just doing a bit of dev work now, and for our vendor content delivery, and that means that you know, their content will go up almost immediately, and that gives them the confidence of knowing that, you know, no sooner have they got the content available, but it's viewable, and that's an expectation of most things these days.
It probably puts the onus back to the vendors a little bit too, to the product that they put up, they are actually responsible for as well. And I know Nutrien are definitely going down that same path of making it easier to put the videos up, but then also people must be aware of what they do. Don't just grab an iPhone, take a little photo and say, yep, that'll be good enough, because you'll get blown away by the ones next door that have got, you know, the digital cameras. And I think you've got to try and meet that happy medium a little bit with the videos and the yearlings. Just very quickly, James, on that, and it's something that we didn't discuss but with the yearling videos, and that there was a big talking point about what people were after and the likes, and people had to galloping around grass paddocks and trotting around grass paddocks and all the rest. And I'm a big believer, and I think it might have been Cameron Bray that actually told me, but more or less what the videos should be doing is, if you cannot make the sales and can't see the horses walk up and parade up, that's pretty much what your videos should be consisting of. Is that how you see it as well, or can you see pluses and minuses for the big glossy videos?
I think there's pluses and minuses. Once again, we do surveys after the sales and get some feedback, and you know, the consistent feedback has been that, you know, we're wanting to see the videos of the horses so that we can assess their action, their type, and their temperament. You know, and when I'm not adverse to the gloss, because to me the gloss is a representation of professionalism. You know, if you've got these consigners that are not only doing the production and they're adding what we're calling the gloss, it shows you they're putting the time, the effort into it. It's just a matter of refinement and maybe focusing just more on the horse and not so much content. But you know, once again, you've got to look at it from your buyer's eye. You know, what do I want to see? And the buyers tell us, you know, we want to see nice, clean, crisp videos that show the horse's action in type and temperament. So, you know, make sure he's walking up, letting up, and he's being the little professional that you want him to be. And that's that critically important. So, you know, you think about when you go to the sales. You know, you go to the sales and you pull the horse out of the box and think in your mind's eye, how long do I have that horse out of that box? You know, I might have him out of the box for 3 or 4 minutes at best, and half the time he's standing and you're walking around standing. So how long do I actually look him in walking up and back? And, you know, most judges might aim for the horse walk up for about a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes max. So you don't need 4-minute videos. No. But in saying that, you know, a lot of those buyers said, well, yeah, well, if I've got a nice enough horse, I might go back and see him 3 or 4 times. You know, I like to maybe take a bite to go and have a look at him. You know, I looked at him on the first day, and I like to go and look at him again in the morning of to make sure he's still sound. He hasn't got cast in the box or taken some scalp off or something like that. And he's, you know, to make sure that he's still there, and to reaffirm my initial judgment. Well, you can say the same in the video. You know, you can have a look at the video and then you think, oh, that's pretty good. The video's there forever. You can go back and have a look at it the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, if that's what you need to reaffirm your opinion of the horse, or you may be doing an evaluation. You might be comparing him to another horse. You can throw 2 videos up through split screens of the browsers. You know, however you like to do it, you know, that's what that video content has to deliver. So whether it's, you know, repeat visits to the boxes just to reaffirm when you're on the grounds, or you can do a repeat visit to the videos just to reaffirm as well. But that content has to be, you know, of a standard of what you would expect to see if you were looking at the horse outside the box.
It's interesting because you said they would like to get them out 2 or 3 or 4 times. I'm tipping they still only walk them for that 1 minute, minute and a half as well.
Yes, correct.
that's the tricky part. They're saying that they might get them out for a longer period, but it's still just they're looking at the same product.
Well, we've all done it, you know, and I've got Ken Brecken ringing me. How's that? So I'll just better. Sorry, Ken. I'll ring you back later, mate. There you go.
You can you can tell Ken that I actually produced his hat. You can't see it on the Zoom footage, but I have actually produced the hat for you, Ken. So it's all good. It's one of those many hats that I do get to wear there. It is there for you to see, James.
Oh, good. I'll tell him to watch. So yeah, sorry, Ken. If you're watching this, I'll ring you back later, mate. So that's it. You know, you only look at it. You know, everyone looks at themselves. You know, your eyes, what your eyes. You know, when that horse walks away from you the first time, walks back towards you the first time, you've taken in 90% of what you're going to see. Yep. You know, and 9 times out of 10, when you're walking up and down again, it's just to reaffirm what you think you saw the first time. So that's how we assess our horses.
Yep.
Your eye is your eye, and you can see it pretty quick.
Absolutely. Rightio. Sale commences in Auckland on the 12th and 12th. It commences on the 12th of February. Goes through to the 16th. Christchurch on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. COVID pending. Unfortunately, last year for the guys down the South Island, it all went a bit pear-shaped and the rest. But COVID pending, everything going well. You'll commence on the 12th and complete on the 16th. I'm hoping to be there for a fair portion of it. I'm just trying to work out some logistics as well with COVID. But I would imagine that's one of the other things you work on behind the scenes, getting some of the Aussie guys down there, Dean Shannon, Gene Feast, people that really enjoy coming to your sales. They're the ones you're trying to make sure that they're able to get there as well.
Oh, look, absolutely. You know, our domestic buying bench and our international buying bench through Australia, we're really looking forward to hosting them at sales, you know, in February 2022. I think a big thing that, you know, we'll have the hotel open, which is going to add such a new facet to our operations, and we hope to encourage our buyers and both domestically and internationally to utilise the hotel. Obviously, we'll have you know, functions and events based around hotels and other bits and pieces without being too over the top, so they can actually get a decent night's sleep and too much going on downstairs. But yeah, so that's going to be wonderful to have the opportunity to welcome these people back from all states. We hope, you know, we've got a situation. You know, we've still got 2 states closed off at the moment, so hopefully for next year we've got all states open and in operation.
No, absolutely, and I thank you very much for giving me the penthouse for that weekend. I'm very appreciative of you doing that.
You got the penthouse, but because of demand, there's going to be 7 of us in there. So.
The Harness Million Race Series, very quickly. It's an initiative driven by NZB, and it's a great little series, but they have to go through the sales to be eligible. That's correct? Yeah,
correct. So they have to go through the ring, and you know, obviously purchased. You know, we do have horses that are passed in that are then sold subsequently following, you know, post-sale buyer inquiries. So you know, we do have that opportunity too. That's what we mean by have to go through the ring. It can either be sold or passed in and then subsequently sold within the time frame of I think it's 12 to 14 days, and then horses can be nominated and paid up and be eligible for the Harness Million Series, which is both the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds, of course, fillies, colts and geldings, trot and pace. So yeah, so there's 6 races here through that series for the 2 and 3-year-old careers.
Absolutely, and Mitch Davis will be front and centre to get as many trophies as he can. He doesn't mind those nights. He's not bad on those at all. Gavel House, yeah. I will let you go very quickly, but Gavel House is another online platform that continually runs underneath the umbrella of NZB. This week closes, I think, what, Wednesday? Is it every Wednesday? Every Tuesday night?
Yeah, 7th of July is the next start. So
yep.
It'll be closing on Wednesday. Yep.
There's 8 horses in this one. That's the beauty of an online sale. It wouldn't be productive to have a sale at Cracker for 8 horses. Wouldn't be worth you guys doing, but to be able to do it, and it's something that the Aussie people are looking at. There's actually 5 racehorses involved in that. 4 of them have raced, so you can check their form out. One's unraced, 2 broodmares, and even a rock and roll heaven yearling that is eligible there. So it's something that people should really go to. Just gavelhouse.co.nz, I think. I might have.
Yeah, gavelhouse.com.
.com. It is .com. I thought that.
Yeah, .com. Yep, so that's good. Yeah, universal platform. Yeah, look, when we first started Campbell House for our standardbreds, we did once a month, but we realised that there's actually demand, particularly through the racehorses, to be twice a month. So we hold the sale every 2 months, and he said, no, we've got 8 lots, but the platform and the methodology is the same, and it just gives the opportunity to for people to trade horses when and where they want to. Even for your mares, traditionally you have to hold on to your mares until the all-age sales in April and May to sell them there. Of course, now she's in foal and she's on your list of mares to trade, and then you can put her up straight away in foal, and she can go. And the beauty of Gavel House, of course, is that she doesn't have to leave the property. She's safe and sound. Deal gets done, and the buyer sends a float up the driveway, and you put on the float, and away she goes. So, look, it's a terrific platform. We think it's been one of the high points for the standardbred industry in giving them this platform to trade their horses on, and it just makes a wonderful scale of economy to be able to trade twice a month.
I also think it's one of those things that's probably not utilised enough, I suppose, in Australia. I suppose there's probably not a lot of Australian trainers that are aware that sale is there. It is every fortnight. People can go there and there is racehorses on there. It's not just yearlings and broodmares, there are racehorses on there predominantly. The horse, to say that there's no good ones, I can't think of his name. It's lost me. I always have pieces of paper here, but Michael Purden bought one a couple that went around in the harness jewels, a trotter that ran second. Max, isn't it? Yes, yeah, and he bought through the Gavel House sale for $9,000. So there's always good bargains there, that's for sure. So I had everything else. I just couldn't. I know his last name's Max. I couldn't get at all the last bit of it. But I think Cam Kirkwood actually owns a share in that horse, I think, as well. So yeah, I can drop names everywhere. James, thank you very much. Hopefully, I've got everything that you wanted covered. Was there anything else you wanted to cover?
I think we've covered off everything there. Thank you very much for giving me your time, mate. I really appreciate it, and look forward. Love what you're doing. Love watching everything that you do, and I look forward to the opportunity of hosting you live in the flesh back here in New Zealand sometime. I appreciate all the best, and thanks very much.
I appreciate that. As I said, straight after this one, we're going to have Nigel Armstrong's going to have interviewed Ricky May. But please hang around for the Anthony Budd interview at the end. We had a good chat, Ants and I, and he's a lot of fun, Ants, and he's a gun driver. I think he gets undersold, a bit like Ricky May. They get undersold on the world stage as to what they've done, being able to win races here, there and everywhere. James, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, Cambo. Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Cool. Ricky May, here in front of Brecon Winners Bar, NZ Bloodstock, great supporters of the industry. 3,000 wins, that's a special occasion.
Oh, it's pretty special, all right. It's taken a wee while to get there, but at the end of the day, with what happened in that, that was my main mission, to get to 3,000, and I did it.
Yeah, probably Aussies probably don't think much of 3,000, but in New Zealand there's only 2 other drivers that have done it. So, and you're a very elite group with Maurice McKendry and Tony Hurley. Oh,
definitely. We probably don't get as many drives in Australia. Sort of got about 8 meetings a week, sort of thing, where we're lucky to get probably 2, maybe 3 some weeks. So, it's pretty good achievement, really.
You're no stranger to Australians. You've been over there in the convict land. You've driven a few winners there as well.
No, I've driven a lot of winners. I think I've driven 9 Group 1 winners in Australia. So, I think that's pretty good, really, and been with a lot of friends over there through my journeys. Yeah.
So Monkey King, Heracles. What else? Terror to Love just didn't click over there.
No, he won one big race over there at Shepparton. Was it Shepparton? But he never sort of went as good as he did in New Zealand, that's for sure. But definitely drove some nice horses over there. I think been quite a few. Heracles and Monkey King both won the Miracle Miles, so that's pretty good alone, especially in Harold Park. And then Mombay, he went over there and won a Group 1. Sort of didn't go, something went wrong in the big race, but it's been pretty good.
Listening to the whispers around the place, something could have gone with the Heracles. I've told that the only time your father's commented on one of your drives and bagged you for one, it didn't go early enough. Now, there was a reason for that?
Yeah, I had a flat tyre.
It's a pretty good reason.
Yeah, no one else knew about it.
So you're leaning on the seat on one side to keep the wheel up?
Yeah, well, he went around with a flat tyre, actually. So, I think I got bagged pretty bad for that drive. But anyway, I still won.
Pretty hard to bag a winning driver, isn't it?
It is.
And you've been over to Germany, was it? Driven a winner there? Or?
No, I drove 5 winners in Germany, actually. got 4th in the World Drivers. So yeah, that was a real education actually, to be fair. So much different to New Zealand. The horses are different, they're all trotters, so it was a good experience.
Okay, and your lovely wife Judy, she's not a great traveller. Did she go to many of the trips? Has she been on? Did she go?
Yeah, she come on that trip. Chris Orfield represented Australia, so we had a lot of fun, to be fair. It was something you really remember.
Yeah, and your father, of course. Your father trained for my father, so I mean that's right. He's been around a while then, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He's 88, so he was here today, which is really great. It was just really good. And
you've got uncles and all sorts of family. You're not just a one-trip band, are you? Your dad, and it's a family thing. Yeah,
it was when they started off. Dad's 2 brothers, they both trained in that as well. So, it has been a family thing. But when I finish, I think she might come to an end because my family's not very interested.
Oh, not?
No, even though one of them was here.
That's not very good, really, is it? You haven't done your job too good there.
No, they go for want to make more money, I think.
Okay, fair enough. So going back to Australia, Monkey King, Heracles, Chariot Love, geez, and 9 Group 1 winners over there.
Yeah, I was going through them the other day. Of course, I won the Australian Derby, and Kipros and Robert, when I used to drive for them, they had a few that went over there. So Anvil Star, I think I won the Bendigo Cup with him. There was quite a few races actually. It's going through, yeah.
So as you were young, did you look up to anyone in particular? Or did you style the Ricky May driving on someone like Richard Bromley on the rails all the time? No?
Richard Brosnan.
Yeah. So is there someone that you've...
Actually there was but probably it was pretty hard when I first started because I hardly got any drives when I was a junior driver. Because there's so many good drivers around, and they're all the ones that went on really. With Morris and Tony's that are in front of me as well, and Colin, 2 De Philippi boys, Peter Jones. It's just so many good ones. A lot more too. Jimmy, and it was bloody hard to even get a drive in the junior drivers races. I hardly drove any, but I did. One person I really liked his driving was Mike De Philippi, and I got to be fair, I sort of did watch him a lot and probably did base my driving a wee bit on him.
Jeez, that's fantastic. So, last sort of question, because we're going to be here all day and for all these Australians, but what is it in the Methven water? I mean, that's where St Murray Mac came from there, or drank the water? Is that what gets you?
O'Reillys.
They're O'Reillys.
I don't know.
Methven, isn't there?
I remember there's a lot of good trainers in Methven over the years. Going right back, there were just so many horses. I remember going to Saturday mornings at Methven track, and there'd be probably 50 or 60 horses trained there, like Alistair Kerslake, Colin McLaughlin. There's just a sum, there's so many nice horses, like Manarara and all them were going then. And I was just thinking how many good trainers are in Methven, but I mean, now it's all changed, there's hardly any left, so we're about one of the very few.
Those Aussies won't know where Methven is.
No, they won't.
It's trotting capital of Methven. No, what is it, Mid Canterbury? No,
you know where it is.
Yeah, of course I know where it is. But it's a great place with a great track.
Exactly.
And a great bunch of people around it.
True. Yeah, definitely.
Greatest grass track in the world.
Yeah, no, it'd be good for some of the Aussies to come over and drive on it, wouldn't it?
Exactly. We need to invite some Aussies over.
True.
We'd find a race for them, wouldn't we?
Yeah, surely.
Methven would more than welcome them. Yeah. Well, congratulations, RT. You've done an amazing job, and I don't know, it's going to be a while to get that 4,000. Can it be done?
No, definitely not.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Don.
Rightio, catching up now with Anthony Butt. Firstly, Ants, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
No, pleasure, Paul.
I find you in Queensland. You can see by the, this show goes back to New Zealand, but the Kiwis might realise I've got a big heavy jacket on. I've got about 3 jumpers on underneath, and I'm inside. You got a t-shirt on, mate. You won't be in any hurry to get back to Victoria.
No, I worked a few in Melbourne yesterday morning. She was pretty cold, and different climate up here. It's beautiful.
Last night seemed a little bit wet though in Queensland, in Albion Park. Looked like a bad night.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been about the same, bit drizzly and things like that. So yeah, it's still warm, but it's been a bit of rain about. Yep.
Yeah, it is very, very strange times. I want to go back. I want to touch on Copy That and a couple of the other runners you had last night, or drives you had last night. But go back to Redcliffe the week before, and Krug. This show is brought to you by NZB. I think Krug definitely was a graduate of that sale. He was just awesome, wasn't he? I mean, for a 3-year-old, you know, I know he's nearly 4-year-old, but even in the old system, he'd still only be a 3-year-old. He was just awesome the other night.
Yeah, just a beautiful horse, Paul. You know, I'd obviously seen a lot of him. You know, been one of Crane's and followed him a lot. And but to actually drive him, he's just so push button. He's nearly the perfect horse to drive. He just stops and starts when you want him, and flops around in the prelim like an old horse. And then as soon as he gets up on the gate, he knows it's a whole business. So yeah, just a beautiful horse. And
that's actually what it looked like going down the triangle, and it's a unique track. I have been fortunate enough to drive on it. I led on it, and I remember they all told me, don't watch that last peg down that back straight, and I'm like, yep, still went straight through it. Like, it is a very unique track. He just seemed like he just took to it like the duck to water.
Yeah, he did. He just got around it beautifully and paced beautifully, and you know, when he slid up down the back, I just thought I'd slide up and put a little bit of pressure on the leader. Didn't want him getting too easy, and he just went straight past him in 2 steps. So wasn't really the plan to do that, but he's just such a lovely horse.
You've driven a lot of good horses, and we'll get to Copy That very, very shortly. But Krug, as far as 3-year-olds go, he'd have to be right up there as some of the more exciting 3-year-olds you've driven, I'd imagine.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like, his record in New Zealand proves that. You know, to win both derbies over there is hard to do, and you know, there's always a lot of depth in the 3-year-old ranks over there. So you know, he's got the runs on the board, and you know, he's been sort of well looked after. So I think he's got a great future too.
It was much publicised that you're up there for the I forget the name of the race. The Queenslanders will tell me right off, but 3- and 4-year-old championships basically. And I believe you committed to Copy That the Friday night at a trial at Albion Park, and then you go Saturday night at Redcliffe. Were you nervous about your pick after Redcliffe?
Well, I didn't really have the choice of Krug. Like, Blair was always going to be coming over to drive him in the Rising Sun and the Derby.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I was only filling in really. So but yeah, after last week, I thought, there's no way they'll beat him this week. You know, next week in the Rising Sun. But you know, after driving Copy That last night, you know, sort of, I think it might be a bit of a race now.
I think so too. Copy That is owned by Merv Butterworth too, a person I've had a lot to do with, and he's a very parochial person, so I would imagine you've had a couple of good phone calls from Merv. Going into the race, you drew awkwardly, then the rain heavens opened up, much publicised by a lot of people that they said that Copy That was only a leader. What was your confidence level when you were going into the race early on?
Yeah, well, I thought long and hard about it during the week and spoke to Merv and Ray about it. And we sort of decided that we'll just take our chance from 1 to 2nd row. You know, over a mile, it's so hard if you pull back and get back to last. And, you know, you settle down, you're 50 metres off the leader. So, you know, I just thought it's the best option to do that, take our chance. And, you know, if he didn't get a run, he didn't get a run. And, you know, that way he wouldn't have a hard run. And, you know, next week's the big race. So, that was the plan, and you know, we just got lucky. You know, they burned pretty hard that first quarter, but then they did back off quite a bit the next couple. So, you know, just lucky got a bit of clear air turn of a home.
For a horse that touted as only a leader in that, watching him in the run and trying conditions, and as a horse, one of the ones you drove later on, looked like there was a lot of kickback coming up. It looked like he just took to it to a duck to water. He wasn't one bit worried about it. He didn't seem to over race at all or do anything silly.
No, he's actually beautiful last night. Like, I spoke to Maurice McHenry the day before just to get a few sort of ins and outs on him, and you know, and I'd seen him race a bit too, and you know, he could over race a bit at times, but last night I sort of had to buzz him off the gate to keep on the one's back, and he was just beautiful. He relaxed, you know, and you know, paced really good too, which is you know, been a problem for him in the past at times. So I think he's maturing and working out what it's all about now.
Can you talk us through, like I gave you a tweet, I suppose, a compliment through Twitter that, you know, like hats off, because how you extricated off the fence, it looks like you've just pushed out, but there is an art to it. There's not a lot of people can actually do what you did last night so successfully, and it's a unique skill, and to do it on a Kiwi horse that's racing in Australia for the first time, and I'm not, this show goes to New Zealand, it's the tempo in Australia can be a lot different. So I would imagine Copy That's taken a lot in. The way you were able to extricate and get him out to the outside, is there something that you look for on the person outside of you and how they're travelling, or was it just, as you just said, right, it's just instinct and you follow your instinct?
Yeah, it's a little bit of instinct. I've seen around the bit, I had two options, either stay on the fence and wait for the run on the lane, but, I had 3 horses in front of me, so I thought that, and going to need a bit of luck for that to happen. But, yeah, I just noticed Pete McMullen outside me, just sort of past the 400, he just sort of lost the back of the horse in front of him. So, when you're driving a horse that's travelling so good, you can sort of, get into gaps pretty quick, and he was the same. But then you've got to be careful you don't knock them down, because I was sort of far enough ahead that my wheel was against his leg sort of thing. So you've got to be wary of that. There's a lot happening all at once. And the main thing is to keep him balanced and keep the momentum up too. And he had to come sideways, from the fence to 4 or 5 wide virtually, and a few strides, and then pick up his speed again. So it's not easy to do. So it was a good effort for the horse, yeah.
And that's more or less what I'm trying to probably get to, because it is a skill. I think Darren Hancock, I would put in a class of his own, probably until last night. I reckon you've got up there with Darren, but Darren used to be, he used to drive around Harold Park and he could be 3 and 4 back the fence, and the next minute he's the first horse 3 deep and he's just charging away from him. He had a unique, I suppose, way of doing it. But like what you said then, you have to keep them balanced. You're on a wet track. So for the young drivers out there and people that are listening, are tuning into this, you just drive that horse at that point of time. You don't necessarily worry about winning. Your winning move came from when you got your last 200, then you try and balance him up. But when you're actually extricating, you're just trying to get him out wide and just keep him balanced and in his motion. Yeah,
that's right, Paul. Yeah, as I said, not all horses can do it, and you've got to have a bit of luck that the horse outside just sort of, when you move out, they sort of move out with you. And it's a bit of a skill. We were brought up in New Zealand. Well, I was. Well, when I started driving, we didn't have a push-out rule. You could push out any stage of the race, and I used to drive against some tough, hard old drivers, and they would push out. And if you weren't virtually climbing over the helmet in front of you, you'd get pushed out. So it was a good way to learn, and I think the same was here especially back in the day when you were racing on the smaller tracks. That you had to be up there and keeping up, but otherwise you would be pushed out. But racing has changed. We're going so fast now, and the bigger tracks that it's not necessarily a skill that's used as often as it used to be. So these days, especially a place like Menangle and Melton, they're going so fast that there's actually very little pushing and shoving anymore.
I can imagine in New Zealand back in the day, I was giggling when you were saying it. It would have been daunting with some of those drivers. We were talking just there before that Ricky May has driven 3,000 winners today, and you were telling me that he's only the 3rd driver in New Zealand history to do that. Maurice McKendry and a couple of the other guys, Tony Hurley, they're strong drivers, aren't they? They know how to move, they know how to shift people and do what they like.
Yeah. Right throughout the years, been some great drivers from New Zealand, and fantastic achievement from Ricky. He's been a great guy, great friend of mine all my life, and great competitor, and especially what he went through last year, to bounce back and get the 3,000, it's a wonderful effort. But but even when I was a kid, I'd be driving against guys like Jack Smolinski and Felix Newfield and Jack Carmichael and my 2 grandfathers, and they'd look the other way and push you out. So it was good learning. I guess it was like driving against Brian Gaff. When he was he's still going great, but when he was at his peak, they were just tough, hard drivers. Very fair. They were fair, but tough men. Yeah,
very, very true. Did you think you could win on Copy That at the top of the straight?
No, it wasn't really till I got out and got him balanced that he. Then I sort of looked across and I thought, the leader's not too far away from me. So no, I was, massively surprised really that he could pick them up, and a bit stunned really.
Was he what you were expecting to drive?
Well, I drove him at the trials last week, and he gave me a mixed feel. He went quite good, and but he did a couple of things wrong, and I was actually lucky. I spoke to Blair Orange earlier in the week, and he'd driven him a fair bit, and spoke to Maurice McKendry, and they told me a couple of things about him that not to worry about, really. He said, that's him, he'll do it, just drive him through it. And so that sort of perked me up a bit. So, but yeah, once you get in the race, you sort of got to ride the race sometimes instead of the horse. And so yeah, it was no, I was pretty stunned when it crossed the line, really.
He was a good win, and he's going to be mighty hard to beat, especially now that he doesn't have to be a leader, as everyone says, and that probably gives you options as well too, that you don't have to fly the arm to try and lead, and because you can change, sort of break that mould a bit with him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like as you said, it was in everybody's mind that he was a leader, but but I remember going back as a 3-year-old, he just got beaten in the Soul Stakes final, coming from well off the pace, and so I knew he could do it. So, but last night gives you that confidence that you just drive the race in there. Yeah.
He's a deceiving horse, Ant. I got to see him when I was in New Zealand just recently for the weanling sales, and he was racing that day, and he probably looks a little bit on the small side on the track, not tiny by any stretch, but when you actually go and see him, he's quite a nuggety, strong horse, isn't he? Like he's bigger than what you think, but like how good could he be?
Oh, I think he could be anything. He's run in the Auckland Cup this year was fantastic. He never stopped working. He sort of over raced outside the leader and just went down. So that sort of proved that he could handle 2 mile, a hard 2 miles. So he's a type of horse that he could win any race going around. He's obviously not going to win every race, but anytime he's there, he's got a chance of winning.
You and I were just discussing off air that there's one race you haven't won. Is Copy that the sort of horse that could win a Victoria Cup? This is a loaded question too.
Yeah, he could win the right. I don't think he'll come because the New Zealand Cup's just after that. So, but I've got a pretty good backup on Wolf Stride.
that was actually the reason, because Ant was saying to me prior to the interview that he hasn't been able to win that race, the Victoria Cup. It's the only feature race you haven't won. There's a new race on the radar this year at Queensland. You're a big chance of taking it out in its first year, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll be trying hard, Paul.
I'm sure you will. Merv will be very happy to hear that too. Don't you worry about that. The rest of your night, Ant, there was a couple of horses I did want to ask you about. I'm just trying to find them. Professionally done this interview, as always. There was this one for Ray that was Copy that. A couple of races later that started short enough in the market, just didn't look like he handled the track. I can't find his name. How good am I going? You'll know.
Yeah, Tommy Lincoln.
Yes.
Yeah. He just got left in the death. Got in the 1-1 early and then got left in the death about the mile, and he just over raced a bit. He's a big pulling sort of horse, and didn't really cope with it all that well. So hopefully if he gets a front line draw next time, he can sort of stroll to the front, and I'm sure he'll take some beating. He
just got a bit wobbly around the bend and in the straight. I just thought he just looked a bit awkward in himself. And then the other one, very, very quickly, American Dealer. It was a peculiar run. Coming at the bell, you give a slap on the backside. They've run a 33 quarter and you dropped off, and then 27.5, 27.5, and you're closing. You're probably unlucky. The other horse had a real soft run.
Yeah, he's a funny horse. He very relaxed. He's very casual about everything, and as you said, I sort of made aware of that before I drove him last night. It's the first time I drove him last night, but yeah, he got off the bit a couple of times. I had to sort of chase him up and had to get the plugs out down the back, and but as you said, he finished off great. So I think he'd be the type of horse you'll go into the better races and be better, because following a faster pace, and I think he's type of one of those horses. He's raced at a very good level in New Zealand and performed well. So I think if they go hard, and it'll take a bit of the speed out of the others, but it won't worry him.
What is he targeted at? Is he targeted at Derbies, or has he just come over because Ray's brought a couple of others over?
No, he's here for the Queensland Derby, and I think they got the Southeast Derby the week before that, which is 2 weeks last night. So yeah, that's his main aim. But obviously we'll have to contend with Krug too. So yeah, won't be easy for him.
No, definitely won't. He looks tiny. Is he as small as what he looks on the track?
Yeah, he's not a very big fella, but he's a beautiful horse, and just a real casual attitude. So hopefully with the race or two over here, he'll sort of wake up a bit, and he said he just needs to travel a little bit better mid-race. He's
a bit like a lot of you Kiwis, pretty laid back, just take things in your stride and don't worry too much.
That's right.
Very, very quickly, mate, Wolf Stride, where's he at?
Yep, he had a good 6 weeks out after he won that big race at Wagga, and so he's been back in a while now, getting through a fair bit of work, and probably about a month away from the trials. So he'll have a start or two first, but the first main name's the Kilmore Cup, and then into the Victoria Cup.
Kilmore Cup, Ben and the crew will be rapt to hear that. That's great that you're targeting a race like that, because it is a time-honoured race that probably been getting lost. Maybe now with the season change, coming back to being one of the first cups, and people can really plan for a good summer, it might be one of the key races on the program again. I hope so anyway.
Yeah, and it leads in really well this year to the Victoria Cup. I think it's 2 weeks before, so I'm sure they'll get a great feel for it.
Absolutely. And thank you very much. Enjoy that warm weather, and I'm glad for all the Queenslanders too that COVID's starting to get under control a little bit. You're going to be back in Victoria, I believe, tomorrow. So well done. Enjoy the carnival, and congratulations on a great win on Copy That.
No, thanks very much, Phil. Anytime.